Traumas, the ugliest, monstrous human experience. The one thing you can't really run from. I mean, you can try, still finds its way to to creep back into your life, no matter how old you get. The one experience that puts you down in your quest for finding happiness, for finding a better life, for trying to understand who you are as a person and knowing where you're headed. Traumas, the one thing that steals not only your joy, I would say your peace. The one thing you dread, because remembering it takes you back somewhere you are trying so hard to leave. Traumas, the one thing that you cannot believe or you cannot imagine making peace with. Traumas is the one thing that tears you down, no matter how highly you think of yourself, no matter how, big you are, no matter how strong you can be. Now, when it comes to traumas, we also have to think about how they started, where it started, the origination of all of these things. And most of the time, it's from the home. How do you get traumatized? Where does it happen? You know, mostly from home. How you don't have freedom to do anything. You remember trying. You remember trying to give your best on something, and it's either your parents do not appreciate it or you are being called out in public. You are being, publicly humiliated, and it takes your self-esteem. And now that you're all grown, you want to try and still do all of those things, but trauma is the one thing setting you back. Or is it in school? You've struggled with trying to be the best, or at least being on the list of being the best, right? And for some reason, it's always just an absolute fail. There are situations whereby you read, there are situations whereby, you study together with your classmates, like with your peers. They do well. At the end of the day, you don't. That takes your self esteem from you. It's traumatic because eventually when you grow up, you are tired, you are mentally spent, you don't even want to put effort to do anything because you, of all people, have believed that people can do better than you do. Where does it start again? Not just, okay, let's say at home where your parents scream, could be your siblings, it could be the moments whereby you have an uncle or an auntie. How many of us really would talk about not having a traumatic experience with one of them? They had to steal our childhood from us. They had to, expose us to something we're not ready for. They had to take advantage of the fact that we were still young. And when you're young, you're weak. You are quite helpless. You depend and run to your parents for help. And because they are older, they know that. How do most people get raped? And I'm speaking on both men and women. Our uncles have done the harm. Our aunts have done the harm. Your neighbors, still in your home, and you feel it has stopped there. But then one day, all of a sudden, you grow up, and for some reason, there's this wave of sadness all the time. Somebody is talking about their, rape experience, and it's meant to just be a conversation. But for some reason, because you relate deeply to it, it takes your peace and your joy away, and it reminds you so much of the experience that because nobody knows about, you would have to deal with it yourself. Why do traumas occur? That's something we don't have an answer for. Because if you know the why, then you will definitely know the solution immediately. Well, because we don't know why, they happen. I mean, we are children. What could you possibly do? And everything you know as a child is a learned behavior. Those are the things that, add up to your growing up. And you would ask questions, honestly. You would ask yourself questions. You would wish you could ask your abusers or the people that traumatized you. You would wish you could ask them, but you cannot. And personally, trauma seems like a deep enough experience because I've had my fair share. I can't really say I can think about, being in high school and having, a great experience because thinking really deep on it takes my joy away. You can watch people talk about how, school was so fun, it was so amazing, it was this, it was that. It's the one thing I personally cannot relate to because I know an incident that happened that really, really, till date, plays with my self-esteem. But like I said, right? We don't know the whys. We just know that they happen. And you have to accept that it has happened. And the moment you accept that it has happened, probably there's there's a way for healing. Traumas, traumas. Are you aware that most people, or most of you, are so unhappy because of your inability to let go? I mean, traumas are not your fault, but they are your responsibility, and that's why it's not fair. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't participate actively in something that, you know, would ridicule me while growing up. But then it's my responsibility to heal from that because there's no saving. There's no help from anywhere. But like, for how long? Most of you can relate to not growing in a house whereby you saw love. Can relate to growing in a house whereby there was peace, whereby there was, affection, whereby there was empathy. You can't even speak when the rest are talking because you are the one that is seen as, somebody that doesn't bring anything to the table, like even intellectual wise, right? And all of those things, they play a part eventually. And because at some point you become self-aware, you know that, these are the things that have happened. These are the things that I would never want them to happen in my own family. I would like to do better. I would like to give my kids what my parents did not give me. I would like to, be a better parent in areas at which my parents could not be for me. And then it's not still happening because you are still relating to the excuse of the trauma. Traumas are tough, but because you have to heal from them, like literally, you have to be conscious. You have to make conscious efforts to do away with whatever would play a role in your future, right? And basically, you have to accept that they have happened. And because you are grown, you would have to move on and move away from it. Because you're not doing that, you are still going to repeat the same old cycle that you detest so much, that you dread so much. You are still going to be your same parent that you resented, forgetting the fact that even your parents were parents for the first time. Everyone was trying for the first time, right? They are not meant to be perfect, but yeah, they are responsible for our protection. And where they failed in all of those things, you have to do better for your own children. Or else the same feelings that you had for your parents, the same, resentments that you had for them, your kids would have to show the same thing to you. So what are traumas again? The things that are able to creep back into our lives without our permission. Be it grief. Grief traumatizes you. Grief takes your peace away. Grief makes you a different person. Grief turns you into a shadow of yourself. In order to avoid all of those things, you have to make peace with your trauma. So once again, Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Devian. I'm hoping that I spoke largely to someone out there who really needed it, because I really did too.